Hi, my name is Beatrice. The topic of my thesis state paper is the impact of Confucianism on dietary acculturations among Chinese immigrants in the U.S. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of the facts about the background of the thesis state of Chinese immigrants while using the best evidence available to make decisions about providing safe and effective nutrition care. Traditionally, Chinese people steam or lightly stir-fry the food without heavy and fattening sauces. After immigrations, Chinese immigrants gradually modified their eating habits due to having to accustom themselves to daily routines, a different selections of ingredients, and changes in preferences and attitudes towards specific types of taste. Here is my dietary habit as an example. I was born and raised in Hong Kong, moved to the U.S. at the age of 17, went to school, worked, and lived in San Diego for close to 12 years. I prefer eating a plant-based diet, don't mind eating my veggies bland and raw, and love eating all kinds of dairy products. I prefer grains and pasta as my staple food, not rice. Because I have lived close to water all my life, I eat seafood and don't care for pork. Because I was never brought up to drink soda, I always pick tea as my beverage. Having spent 12 years alone in San Diego, I adopted the habit of eating a quart of ice cream when I'm in a good mood, and eating or sipping tea while working in front of a screen. So, whenever I start writing something, my brain connects with either tea, a snack, or a meal. What Asian Americans are exactly? You have probably heard that Asian Americans rank some of the healthiest adults in the U.S. But before going further into the topic of dietary acculturations, we need to remind ourselves that the word Asian American is a broad name for all Asian groups. What are Chinese? Within the Chinese group itself, there are 56 ethnic subgroups in China. So the health determinants among different Chinese immigrants can really vary, depending on their geographic origins, adapted regional culture, tenure of stay, immigration status, and adaptation to the U.S. To accurately identify the underlying causes of the disease state among a Chinese immigrant, health professionals need to avoid generalizing the diverse biological, behavioral, and social factors of different Asians into one single Asian American category, or viewing all Chinese subgroups into one Chinese group. Technically, health professionals should avoid generalizing about any race doing particular things. What contributed to the inaccurate survey's findings about Chinese immigrants? Several studies have stated that Chinese immigrants tend to be underrepresented in population surveys, mainly due to their disproportionate sample size distributions and linguistic challenges. Dietary acculturation does not necessarily mean good or bad health, because prevention is better than cure. To live a happy, fuller life in their old age, Chinese immigrants need to be committed to being healthy now so that they can live independently. As health professionals, we have the roles of educating clients to distinguish what's good or not to eat or to do in the U.S. Communication difficulties and a lack of knowledge on the cultural habits of Chinese immigrant clients from health professionals have been causing challenges to better health and nutrition among Chinese immigrants. Poor communication can result in various negative outcomes, such as decreased adherence to medications, patients' dissatisfactions, and inefficient use of resources. A lack of cultural competence can impact health professionals and clients' decisions with regard to nutritional interventions. By incorporating nutrition and cultural-focused findings and understanding individual personal life stories, health professionals can have a better understanding of the particular disease states of Chinese immigrants. We know that families have a strong influence on a person's health behaviors, including smoking, exercise, diet, nutrition, and substance abuse. Family is the central aspect of Confucianism, and it affects many dimensions of life among the Chinese people, including participations in medical decisions, taking care of relatives, ethical dilemmas such as organ donations and end-of-life issues, and mental health problems. In the next few slides, I will address a few cultural-related factors or practices that health professionals need to know to effectively communicate nutrition interventions with their Chinese immigrant clients. First of all, Chinese daily meals consist of grains, veggies, fruits, and meat. The crucial points for good Chinese cooking are the food's texture, flavor, color, and aroma. One of the eating habits Westerners brought to China when they started to live there was eating mixed, chopped raw veggies as meals. The majority of Chinese eat with family and loved ones. Dishes are placed in the middle of the table for everyone to enjoy, and members have to wait to eat until the whole family is seated. Selected nutrition modifications will need to be appreciated by the entire household. Secondly, while Western and Chinese nutrition both share the similar belief that proper nutrition is essential for optimal health, their views about nutrition are different. In general, Chinese believe that their health is composed of two opposite forces, yin and yang, and disease occurs when the balance between the two forces is broken. To be healthy, Chinese believe that they need to strike a balance between different food components. For example, sodium is yang and potassium is yin. Protein is yang and fat is yin. The yin-yang electrons comprise the opposite poles of the life battery. A Chinese immigrant may insist it's important to cook a fish, which is yang, with wine, which is yin, and then eat a plate of fresh fruits to balance out after a meal, which may not make a lot of sense to Western dietitians, but it's healthy as long as the fish is not deep fried and they're eating fresh fruits. Thirdly, many Chinese use special foods and herbs in combinations with traditional Chinese therapies to restore the yin-yang balance, as they believe it is a supplement to Western medicine, but there is little communications between patients and medical providers about their practices. Taking herbal products concurrently without medical supervisions can be dangerous, as it can reduce the body's absorptions of either one of the medicines. Health professionals need to remind their Chinese clients to present their herbal and Western medications to their physicians or pharmacy to prevent potentially harmful and unsafe drugs interactions. Lastly, and most importantly, keep in mind that Chinese have concerns about preserving face. In Chinese culture, when someone makes a mistake or encounters a challenging situation in a public setting, instead of openly criticizing or pointing out the mistake, others may address the issues indirectly or offer assistance discreetly. To communicate effectively, health professionals need to be mindful of the ratios of certain words or messages their clients receive when it comes to dealing with certain diseases, such as the word diabetes or any health-related issues with the word mental, which are highly stigmatized among Chinese families and their communities. Also, disclosing a client's certain disease state or medical condition may damage their participation in their community networks. In the next few slides, I'll go over a few dietary-related factors that impact the health and quality of life of people in China. This will provide a better understanding of the dietary habits of Chinese immigrants prior to their immigrations to the U.S. You have probably heard that the availability of convenient foods and large meal portions in the U.S. is the blame for weight gain and health issues among Chinese American immigrants. But do you know that the younger Chinese generations in mainland China has already started to consume a large amount of American fast food and fancy coffee before they arrive in the U.S.? Let me give you some figures here. As of today, McDonald's has almost 6,000 restaurants in China. KFC has 8,214 restaurants. Burger King has 1,528. Pizza Hut has 2,760. And Starbucks has 6,804 shops. The national mortality records in the U.S. stated that the top 3 leading causes of death among Chinese Americans between 2003 and 2011 were cancer, heart disease, and stroke. And while Chinese American men were more likely to die from COPD, Chinese American women were more likely to die from type 1 and 2 diabetes. Now, let's look at a data brief study from Stanford Medicine. This table is a comparison of the mortality rates between Chinese from the mainland and Chinese Americans, which shows that cancer and cardiovascular diseases were the major causes of death for both populations. Through understanding the causes of death of different Chinese national origins, health professionals can better predict the general health status and quality of life of different Chinese immigrant populations. Excessive fast food consumption at a young age makes people living in China more likely to have high blood pressures and unhealthy cholesterol, and increases the risk of contracting diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. What makes it worse is that Chinese men living in mainland China have the social habits of smoking and drinking excessively, which consequently aggregates the massive numbers of Chinese men contracting heart disease and stroke. whether or not our Chinese immigrant clients choose to adopt a healthier diet before or after immigration. Should they not take actions to start changing their diet immediately to eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, quitting smoking, avoiding excessive drinking, and maintaining daily physical activities, the chance of surviving or preventing future chronic disease occurrences in the U.S. is low. Smoking, binge drinking, and excessive consumption of saturated fats, sugar, and sodium are associated with a high prevalence of chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and cancers among the Chinese immigrant population in the U.S. The etiology is evidenced by low health literacy, increased consumption of meat products and sodium, reduced consumptions of whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, and a lack of physical exercises. The majority of our Chinese immigrant clients have fundamental knowledge of food therapy and prefer using natural foods or herbs along with or instead of medication to treat symptoms. But given that traditional dietary guidelines in the U.S. are based on Eurocentric principles, we need to look up information that is inclusive enough for Chinese immigrants. For most Chinese immigrants coming to America, it's full of the unfamiliar, from the language to the food. Health professionals can help new arrivals settle into their new home by folding English lessons into a cooking class. By offering English instructions in the form of a cooking lessons, health professionals help provide a familiar setting for students to connect to each other. By showing clients how to search for Asian grocery store and shop online, read food labels, and work with the American measurement system, health professionals can give them the first set of tools to make better nutritional choice. Another challenge to work with Chinese immigrants is persuading them to attend a health class. For example, in 1987, when I arrived in San Diego at the age of 17, I walked an hour and a half every day one way to high school. Regardless of income status, not all Chinese immigrants know how to drive or own a car. Immigration integration is most successful at the local community level. Referring clients to community public health centers that offer bilingual services can help them connect with people from different cultures and backgrounds, increasing their network of support. Because the role of family is important for carrying out an effective nutrition interventions among the Chinese immigrants. Inviting their family participations throughout the planning and implementing phases and setting health goals can enhance the capacity of clients' adherence to nutrition modifications. In the long run, it helps lead to a better health outcomes, improve client satisfactions, and lower health care costs. A lack of supporting network, cultural differences in health beliefs, and language barriers continue to be the major obstacles among Chinese immigrants to better health. In particular, low-income households or those with a lower educational background may experience a shortage in healthcare coverage and are forced to rely on over-the-counter medicines, delaying seeking healthcare. They are also more likely to go for whatever they can afford for meals. Health disparities among Chinese immigrants are a complicated phenomenon, and it requires policies and community participation to put an end to them. Without good support from health resources, Telling Chinese immigrants to incorporate fresh fruits and vegetables and avoid junk food or convenience food is like telling homeless people to get a job. I hope this presentation can help you gain insight on helping prospective Chinese immigrant clients gain health knowledge and awareness about developing a better sense of chronic disease prevention. Thank you. This is the end of my presentation.